It is Monday, March 11th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by Factor. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, with us as well. Plouffe, it was so good hanging out with you the last several days up at the warehouse, Ball and Play League Season 2. We just finished it. That's why I sound so hoarse, because there was so much excitement in this series.
You absolutely crushed it like you always do. And one thing I notice about you, when you get around me, you get a little handsy. Like we had some physical contact, you and I liked it.
What is that? I'm confused. What does that mean? How did
There
I
was
get
lots of hugs. Just I feel like we need to hang out more in LA. That's what I'm getting at right now. Because when we see each other, we're so happy.
Yeah, it's
we
true.
only live 10 minutes down the road, bro.
I know. Well, that's because you're a busy guy. It's hard for you to fit Rose in the schedule when we're talking about Stafford and Clausen and your billionaire friend. I get it. I'm way down in the pecking order, and I understand it. I mean, I would be too. If I had to pick,
that's just not true. That's just not true. But it is good to see your face on here. And yes, we had a great weekend in Jersey at the warehouse. Just an incredible.
Yep.
Ball and play is fun.
It is fun.
I didn't really get it the last time we did it, but I prepared and I felt this was awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was great. That'll be coming out in a few months. In the meantime, once again, Baseball Today is brought to you by Factor. Eating better, it has become so easy with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian-approved, ready to go in just 2 minutes. Poke a few holes with a fork, pop it in the microwave, and off you go.
I'm starving. Stop saying that.
Well, just wait another half hour. You can grab your latest Factor meal. You're going to have over 35 different options to choose from every week. That includes Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, also more than 60 add-ons to help you stay fueled up throughout the day. So head on over to factormeals.com/baseball50. Use that code baseball50 to get half off today. And don't forget, end of the week for our next episode, whether that's Thursday or Friday, our Factor question of the week. Become famous. Ask us a question. Do your part. It's that simple. Let's roll. Right before we came on air today, news out of Yankees camp is not good. Aaron Boone told reporters that ace and defending AL Cy Young Award winner Gerrit Cole is off to have an MRI on his ailing elbow. They said he has been having trouble bouncing back in between his performances down there. It's about the worst thing you can hear for any fan about your ace, but particularly this franchise. How startled are Yankees fans as of right now?
I mean, they're completely shook, as they should be. When we talk about the Yankees, there's a lot of, I would say, ifs in the starting rotation, except for Gerrit Cole. He's he's a set it and forget it type of guy. Obviously, this guy is. I mean, every time we talk about Gerrit Cole on this program, we just praise him for what he's been able to do in the game, especially in New York. He is the epitome of an ace. So this is devastating news for them. And you're right. He said he's feeling like he's having trouble recovering from his start. He likens it to what it feels like during the season after throwing 100 pitches. So he's sore. Now, I think if you're a Yankees fan, you can just hold on to that. Like, if maybe you're just sore, maybe something's different, but it's not like a torn ligament in your elbow. So they're getting the MRI. I would say that you just kind of got to wait for that. Pray for the best, because if this guy's out and he's got to miss the season, I don't know what you do. You have to go sign Snell or Monty, and that's going to cost you crazy amounts of money. But it's just it's a shockwave throughout baseball, and especially if you're a Yankee fan. It's just very difficult news to take, because I love watching Gerrit Cole pitch. I think anybody that watches him pitch loves it. The way he attacks guys, there's no nonsense shit on the mound. I love it. So it sucks, man. I'm praying for the best.
So Gerrit Cole signed with the Yankees when he was 29 years old for his age 29 season. And he has been worth every damn penny of that $300+ million deal. Too often in this sport, we pay guys for what they have done instead of what they will do. He is the rare pitcher, and Scherzer's one of the other ones who totally fulfilled his 7-year deal with the Washington Nationals, that there was nothing that went wrong there, really, with him. I just want to read these numbers for you. And these are big ones for me with Gerrit Cole. Starting in 2017, these are starts made. 33, 32, 33, 12 because of the pandemic. 30, 33, and 33. and dominance starts at that. So you're talking about losing the one reliable piece. It doesn't mean, listen, Marcus Stroman's reliable. You know, the second half of last year didn't go the way he wanted. He's still reliable. Carlos Rodon, we don't know where his fastball is. Nestor Cortez, I like your fashion statement. I want to see you get back to your all-star form. And then at the back end of this rotate, who knows kind of where we are at this point. There's just too many question marks at this point. So this would be terrifying for me. It's, hell, I got an alert yesterday about Gavin Williams, you know, being a little punchy in his elbow. And that guy hasn't even made it through a full major league season. I can only imagine what Yankee fans are going through.
Yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, this is their guy that they can just count on. And that's like, when you have a guy like that, you don't take it for granted. You understand what it means, especially in New York. So this is, like I said, like, we don't know anything definitively yet. So I don't want to just cast this overwhelmingly dark shadow over baseball and the Yankees. But whenever you're getting an MRI on your elbow, it's scary. And like I said, with Snell or Monty, they're over the third CBT tax, so it's cost them 110% on top of what they have to pay. So if these guys are making $35 a year, it's actually going to cost them like 77 or 78, whatever the math is on that. That's crazy.
Wow. That's a lot. Which takes us now to Trevor Bauer, who returned to a major league facility for the first time since pitching overseas in Japan. He actually returned to the Dodgers facility, essentially as part of a Japanese minor league travel ball team. I guess that's the best way to explain it. It's aimed at getting exposure for players to major league organizations. So Bauer faced LA's minor leaguers, reportedly pitched well in his 3 innings, topped out at 99. He did say, quote, "I should have the opportunity to sign with a big league team. Hopefully today reminded them that I'm still an elite pitcher. If not, that's fine as well." Do you think that Trevor Bauer's performance on Sunday did anything to alert decision makers into a new way of thinking?
I actually think it did, because seeing him live against, Major League Baseball, I know they're minor leaguers, but like organizational players is a little bit different than seeing him overseas or seeing him throw, a live bullpen and just reading the data. At the same time, I don't know if it's enough, Chris, because people knew what he's doing. They know like that he's throwing upper 90s. They know that he's got all the arsenal, and they know that he's engineering mind and a thinker and a guy that, can be a productive pitcher in the big leagues. They've known that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hasn't been about that. So I don't know if it hasn't already happened yet, I don't know if it's going to happen. And I go back and forth on this situation a lot. I continuously say, I think for Trevor, I think he just burned a lot of bridges, man. I really think that. Now, does that mean he's getting blackballed from the game? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think a lot of teams, though, still weigh PR and having to deal with backlash and having him on the team, and they're still saying that is outweighing the performance factor. So, again, I think it opened a few more eyes. He looked nasty. He really did. I mean, you gotta call a spade there. But if it hadn't already happened, I don't know if it's going to happen, C. Rose.
You make great points all the way around. Number one, he was facing minor leaguers. He faced 3 guys currently on the 40-man and a second-round pick of the Dodgers. And we know how deep the Dodgers' youth is.
He wasn't facing scrubs. A lot of people are trying to point to that. He wasn't facing scrubs.
No. But we have to say who he faced. So
sure.
Let's just tell everybody who he faced. Yeah, the video I saw looked good. I mean, you obviously have a trained eye. I don't. But facts are facts. The reports are there were no scouts there. If there are no scouts in person to check you out, then in my opinion, Sunday's 3-inning performance would have no factor on him moving forward. You came up with the biggest answer, which is this is a sport, and some people will tweet out there or say whatever they want to say that Major League Baseball owes Trevor Bauer this and that and the other thing. That's not accurate. These are 30 individual companies that come together that form one. So you're talking about 30 companies that are trying to decide what to do that's best for them. And yes, the backlash is a big part of this equation. I don't know if some of the teams signed Trevor Bauer, if the backlash would last 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years. I have no idea what it would be. But I imagine that there are some owners who would come out and say to the team's architects, stay away from Trevor Bauer. Yes, he's a good player. It's your job to go find somebody of at least his talent, if not better. I will pay more. A lot of fans look at this and say, well, Trevor Bauer will come out and play for the league minimum of less than $1 million. That's fine. That doesn't erase everything else that comes with it. So that's what organizations are weighing. And that's why Sundays wouldn't have mattered if he'd thrown 1 billion miles an hour, Trev.
I'm just trying to think, like, if I was the decision maker, what I would do.
It's you know my thoughts. If I were a decision maker, I wouldn't want anything to do with him. It's not because of what happened or didn't happen in all of these sexual assault claims. I didn't like it when the Dodgers signed him. I mean, uber talented, but I felt like he had gone off the rails too many times, and I didn't trust him moving forward as an owner. I might be wrong, but I'm just saying that if I were in that seat, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't know if I would, to be honest with you, because I do believe that it's brand over everything. Even before winning, I mean, it's brand, and if you think something is going to tarnish your brand, then I think you make that decision.
Okay,
whether that's right or wrong, I don't care what side you're on. I'm just saying, like, that's the way these guys are thinking.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this, just from a player standpoint. Do you think that teams are having meetings with their players about, okay, guys, how would it be if we signed Trevor Bauer? Because I've talked to some guys who say, wouldn't matter to me. I'd welcome him with open arms. And I've talked to some guys who said, I wouldn't want any part of him.
I mean, Mookie Betts came out and said that. So it's
right. But
I
on the record.
I have not heard either way. So I can't speculate if teams have been doing this. I mean, I'm sure there's discussions in each clubhouse about this because it is a big story in baseball and everybody knows Trevor Bauer. You're on social media. You've seen the clips. So I guarantee guys have been saying, well, what do you think we should do? Like, hey, it'd be nice to have this pitcher on our team, but, you know, what happens if we do that? Be a lot of questions for guys to answer. And again, I keep going back to the point that you made. 30 different companies, brand over everything. I think at that point, you kind of know your decision.
Listen, there's a lot. He's arguably the most polarizing person, and he isn't even signed with a major league team. Angelo writes in the chat, the PR backlash isn't worth it. Once again, I don't know how to define the PR backlash. I don't know if some people have moved on. Some people don't care. Some people would never want to sign him. It's all over the place. I personally don't think let's finish it with this. Do you think he'll throw a pitch in 2024 for a major league team? Because I don't.
I don't either.
I don't either.
I mean, look, this Cole news gets your head thinking about, hey, this happens to my guy on my team, and it completely puts us out of contention. You start thinking a little differently.
Okay, well, hold on.
That's a fan way to think.
There's no way he could end up in New York. That is.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, if it happened to your team as a fan, you would start to say, well, shoot, there is a guy out there willing to do this for major league minimum, but they're not making decisions.
Yeah. There's just no way that that's going to happen. I can tell you that. And I want to tell you about this. We love doing baseball today. We want you to absorb even more content. There's a new podcast and video series that you're not going to want to miss. It's called The Deal, and it's co-hosted by whom, Plouffe?
My best friend A-Rod, 2 Minnesota boys.
That-a-way. Every week, A-Rod and Bloomberg reporter Jason Kelly, they speak with big-time athletes, entertainers, and executives like Maria Sharapova, like Michael Strahan, like Derek Jeter, and oh so much more. The Deal takes you behind the scenes in the world of sports, media, and entertainment, dives into the wins, the losses, the lessons learned along the way. And if there's somebody who has learned some lessons, it is Alex Rodriguez. We have talked about him a lot over the years. You're talking about one of the most talented baseball players who has been at the pinnacle of this profession and has also been all the way down the mountain in the valleys as well. What has he learned from those lessons when you're on top and when you're trying to work your way back? Well, it comes your way from Bloomberg Podcast and Bloomberg Originals. You can listen to The Deal on Apple, on Spotify, and wherever you download your podcast. Go listen to A-Rod. Go give it a shot. It's that simple. All right, so you mentioned a little bit earlier about Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery. T-minus 2+ weeks and counting until opening day, and neither one of those guys, meaning the reigning NL Cy Young Award winner and last year's postseason hero with the Texas Rangers, is signed. We keep hearing smattering of reports that Blake Snell's willing to work a short-term deal and Monty's looking for this and looking for that. Get inside the head of the ball players today. How pissed are they at their agent, Scott Boras?
I don't think they're pissed at him, as I think if you sign with Scott Boras, you understand that that could mean in your free agent year that you're willing to wait. Like we've seen this from him before. You sign with him because you're saying he is going to get me the most money. Now, there's other things that his agency does for you, but the majority of guys sign with him and switch over to him towards free agency because he promises the most money, and the track record is there. The track record is there. So I think they're more upset at the system, and, you know, they got Kike Hernandez out here saying collusion, essentially. I think that that's what's being spun to these guys. Like, that's what's being told to them from their inner circle, more so than Boras is doing a bad job. I think they're saying it's these clubs, man. Like, they're not willing to spend the way that they should be. They're using the TV deals as excuses. I think that's what's being pushed to them. So I think that, are they frustrated with the situation, Chris? Yes, but I don't think it's necessarily all aimed at Boras because he's dealt with this before. He knows how to talk to these guys and say, look, trust the process. We're going to get there. And now, especially with the Gerrit Cole news, he can call them and say, see, I told you if we just wait, there's going to be opportunities arising. So I don't think they're that pissed with him. I think they're frustrated with the situation. They'd like to be in spring training right now, throwing and getting ready for the season. But again, if you choose Boras as your agent, you understand there's a possibility this is going to happen. So I think they knew what they got themselves into. And I just don't think they're mad at him.
What about the report that Blake Snell has turned down a 6-year, $165 from the Yankees? We had heard that earlier in the spring, I thought. Now, if you did indeed turn that one down, and I don't know, you have to tell me a little bit more about this because I've never been inside of a player negotiation. I, too, have an agent in the world that I live in. My numbers are much more minuscule than the Major League Baseball numbers. But there have been times where I've sat down with my agent and they said, okay, here's what the offer is. Here's what I think. But ultimately, it's your decision, right? You are the boss of the agent. It's not the other way around.
Sure.
A lot of people think that the players get bullied by Scott Boras. Maybe in some cases that does happen. But I think for the most part, he has done an exceptional job for his clients over his several-decade career. So just kind of give us a little taste of how that might have gone for a Blake Snell, even though you weren't in those particular discussions.
I mean, there's obviously thought given at that point, like, hey, like this is a real deal offer. It's money on the table. If I sign my name on a piece of paper, even if I just say yes, I sign my name on a piece of paper, I make what? $160-something million. That's like, in your mind, you can't necessarily fathom it. I never got to those numbers, obviously. But it is your choice. The thing is, your agent's advising you. So if he's like, hey, like, here's the offer, but I think we could do more, you're going to listen to your agent.
So how do you not get
especially
angry?
Because that was at the beginning of the offseason, right?
Right. How do you not get angry at that?
Because you understand, like, it's a cat and mouse game, a give and take game. Like, hey, you were willing to give me that, and now you're saying you're not willing to give me that. Bullshit. Guarantee that offer's on the table today. Guarantee that offer's on the table today, especially if you get bad news with Gerrit Cole. So, you know, I just think that you have to at some point nut up and be like, I got to make the call. I didn't make the call. We talked about Matt Chapman doing the same thing, like a couple different offers here and there. And like now he's sitting with less money, but like those are his decisions. Were they advised by your agent? Sure. But ultimately, if he wanted to sign, he could have signed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably behind closed door with your significant other, you're probably sitting there saying, God damn it, I shouldn't have listened to him. I just shouldn't have listened to him.
I think you're still saying trust the process. I really do.
Yeah, but the process is getting, I mean, Matt Chapman,
that one's different because he's signed now. Like, Snell might get more than that offer to the Yankees as these injuries start to pile up around the league.
Yeah, that's true.
Until he signs like a deal for, way less than that, I don't think he's like at that point where he's like, dang, man.
What if he signs a 3-year, $90 million deal?
And the other one was what? What was the other one? 6 years.
65.
You're making better at AAV.
It's tough. Still a tough look.
I don't know, dude. I mean, you're $90 million over 3 years, then you get to enter the free agency market again, and maybe the TV deals are figured out, or you don't have a qualifying offer on you. Like, there's different things that could happen.
I guess. I don't know. He has, I believe, I looked at his pocketbook the other day. I think $51 million is what he has made through his career.
He's a stud. He's great at Fortnite. He's got a hot wife who's pregnant with their first baby. Like, things are going right for Blake Snell. 2 Cy Youngs in the bag. He's about to get paid. Like, I think he's still like pretty happy with the way things are going.
Okay. Cincinnati Reds fans were not happy about this. Noelvi Marte, one of their top prospects, a guy who was expected to certainly contribute an awful lot on the left side of that infield this year, suspended 80 games for PEDs. How much of a stain is this on one of their young players who's looking to jumpstart his career? Or do you think at some point it won't even register?
I mean, depends on how he plays when he comes back. But it's a stain for sure, Chris. I mean, shoot. He's a young guy who had a nice season last year, who had a starting spot waiting for him in the big leagues on a team that's going to be pretty dang good. And now all of a sudden, you're out. And they got a bunch of infielders. I just talked about this on baseball or Talking Baseball. You're out. Other guys are filling in for you. There is no guarantee that when you come back that you're going to have the same exact opportunity at the big league level. Now, this guy's a super prospect. He's a stud. Like, everyone believes he's going to be real deal player. But let's just say people settle in at positions, start having really good years. The Reds can't just make room for him out of nowhere. They'll try to, but like, he wasted a starting spot in the big leagues. And I don't got to tell you, like, one of those is very difficult to come by. It really is. And if you open the door, a la freaking Wally Pipp, things can happen. I'm not saying he's never going to play in the big leagues again, or he's never going to get an opportunity again, but he had a golden opportunity and he's washed it. That golden opportunity is gone. He's not going to get that again this year. So I think if you're a Reds fan, it sucks for you. At the same time, you made apparently futuristic, amazing decisions because you brought in a bunch of guys that can, or you brought in Candelario who can replace him. Mm-hmm. You already had a bunch of guys on your roster that can replace him. You bring in Josh Harrison, Tony Kemp that can replace him. Like, you have options. So, like, as a Reds fan, it sucks, but I think you guys are going to be okay in that regard. For Noelvi Marte, you fucked up, dude. Like, you fucked up.
There have been other guys early in their career. Emmanuel Clase is one. People don't even think of him as a guy who got suspended 80 games for PEDs. It just doesn't even register. So I think the wound is fresh on this one. And you made an exceptional point. Now it's possible that his future isn't in Cincinnati. It's possible, right? Yeah. He's already been traded once. He was a big piece of that Luis Castillo deal from Seattle. And Reds fans were excited, and they should be. By the way, programming note, his teammate in Cincinnati, Spencer Steer, is the latest guest on the Rose rotation. We recorded that conversation well before the suspension was ever handed down. So we weren't trying to dodge it or avoid it. The tape job happened way before. So just want to let you know. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's I think it gets to a bigger issue a little bit, Trev. And this is probably a fork in the road I'm not so sure I want to take, but I'm going to bring it up anyway, is that in other countries, this is a major, major problem in terms of performance-enhancing drugs because it's not as big an issue, from what I understand, in the culture as it is here in the States, if I'm reading it correctly, correct?
We had this talk on Talking Baseball. I was hesitant to bring it up, but I've spent a lot of time around guys and been in clubhouses, and it's the truth. The Dominican and Venezuela, the Latin ball players, not all of them. I don't want to blanket this, but I've known a lot of guys, and I've talked to a lot of guys, and it's just not seen the same. Like, if you're an American ball player and you pop for steroids, like, people look at you and like, fuck this guy.
Yeah, you wear a scarlet letter the rest of your
that
career.
guy's a cheater. Like, no doubt about it. Some guys can skirt it. Some guys can skirt it a little bit if it happens like in the minor leagues or something. There's prominent pitchers that we don't even think about that have done that. But if you get popped in the big leagues and you're an American dude, like, it's just looked at differently. If you're a guy in the DR, like, they don't look at it the same way that we do. I'm not saying that's good or bad or anything like that. That's just the reality of the situation. And I think that's why if you go down the list of the last, 3 or 4 years, you're going to see. I hate to say that. It's just the unfortunate truth of baseball.
Okay,
right now.
Got it.
So so Dan, I guess to piggyback on that, like, he'll be accepted back into the clubhouse, like, not a big deal.
No.
The clubhouse is not going to react that way. It's not.
Yep.
Now he has to have opportunity and go back and play well, and then everything kind of will get forgotten. But it's a true point what you're saying.
And by the way, that's where leadership comes in, and it'll be interesting to see who's taking on that role now that Joey Votto is no longer there. Jonathan India is a guy who's in his mid-20s. He's trying to hang on for a job there in Cincinnati. He loves that place. He is the unquestioned leader of that team. So we'll see what happens, and we'll catch Noel V. Marte mid-season at some point at a baseball stadium near you. Speaking of Joey Votto, we got breaking news when we did last Friday's show up in Jersey City that Votto has signed with his hometown team, the Toronto Blue Jays, on a minor league deal, which perhaps one of the many great things means that we won't have to see these sad social media posts that Joey's been putting out there with shopping carts and sitting on benches and going through car washes and all sorts of stuff. But I noticed on the day that he showed up for that's Joey Votto, right? Clean shaven.
Yeah.
Just a couple of days after having the most frothy beard we had seen. Shouldn't he have gone into a new opportunity with a new look instead of that clean-shaven look?
I like the clean-shaven Joey Votto. He's a good-looking guy. You don't have to cover your face up with that beard. I think this fits. I think he feels like a ball player like that. And before, he felt like a scrub looking for a job. And that's not what Joey wants to feel like. Lying about that he always puts carts back. Yeah, right. All you guys are such liars.
That is not true. Go ask Michelle the next time you see her. Not only do I put my carts away, Michelle goes, okay, you know what, today I'll put the cart away. Like, it's something that's been handed down from Rose.
Okay, so you're using it for, like, to get a pat on the back. What's worse? What's worse, Chris? You using that or me going 90%?
Hold on. Michelle, are you out there? Michelle? No, she's downstairs having her coffee. Okay. She wants no part of this discussion. I'm just telling you. It's not. I'm not looking for a pat on the back. It's called courteous. You want to be courteous to the rest of your fellow parkers in grocery store parking lots.
You probably shop at Erewhon somewhere. I'm going to follow you and
whatever.
See that.
All right. That'll do it for today. Don't forget about our factor question of the week. Get it in either Wednesday night or Thursday. I don't know which day we're going yet later in the week. So make sure you get that in because we want you to challenge us. Have some fun. Yes, go ahead, caller.
This is just brought up in the chat. Where do you think Joey Votto's Blue Jay jersey ranks at the end of the year as far as total sales?
Well, first of all, he's got to make the squad.
Got to make the team. I'm saying if he does.
In the league, you're talking about league sales?
Yeah.
Top 10.
You think he cracks top 10? Yeah, easy, yes. Right?
Oh, yeah. Once again, I mean, you're talking about people not just from Toronto, but all over the provinces buying it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
In Quebec City, in Calgary, in Manitoba, they're all going to be buying it. And why wouldn't you? Hell, I might go get myself a Votto jersey.
It's a pretty awesome jersey to have.
Hell yes. That's one. It's funny because at the end of careers, we're like, oh, God, if only he wore that jersey. I think we're all kind of looking forward to him wearing a Votto jersey.
100%.
In Toronto. It's kind of cool. All right. We appreciate everybody that joined us live. I think our numbers today, Dan, they looked off the charts to me. Is that accurate? You there, Rourke?
Whoa.
Well, over 1,000. I think that's the first time we topped 1,000 in the chat, which is really great because really soon we're going 5 days a week. We're ready to grind. Don't smirk at me, Plouffe.
We are ready to grind.
We are ready to grind.
In a couple weeks.
We cannot wait. And then you'll want to join us every day because we got good. Listen, we love our baseball. You're not going to find two guys who love the sport more and just love incessantly talking about it. We're not, even though I'm old, we're not grumpy about it either. So thank you for being a part of our community. We can't wait to deliver another episode later this week. So for our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, and the uber-talented, even if he only puts his card away 90% of the time, Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. This has been Baseball Today, presented to you by Factor. See you later this week.